Okay, do we have guests today, Alan?
I have a guest. My wife, Carolyn Wilson, is with me today.
Carolyn? Tim has a guest.
I have my daughter, Laura, with me today.
I have Bill Springer with me. He's a news employee at the newspaper.
And do we have a handshake $2 bill?
We certainly do.
Good.
I'm going to give it to Alan Wilson because bringing his wife with him today is a sign that he is truly proud of what we do at Kiwanis.
Yes.
She's going to witness all that goes on here.
Thank you, sir.
I thought he was going to say he's really proud of his wife.
I'm proud of my wife.
Announcement for next week, we're meeting at Share Medical Center in the lobby. They're going to feed us. The reason we're meeting there is a joint meeting with Rotary, because they like the numbers. And they're going to have a telemedicine exhibit. Dr. Rader from Oklahoma City, St. Anthony's. We're going to have Alan lay on the bed.
What are they going to do?
Colonoscopy.
When can I cancel out?
But we would like you to bring any spouses that you have, or girlfriends, or whatever, because that's sort of an expensive demonstration. And so that's why we're trying to get as many folks there as possible to sort of understand it and how it can be used and how it can't be used. Bill?
Well, you said it's expensive. How much are we going to pay Alan for that?
Well, because he's the guinea pig. And
It's on his Medicare.
we already gave him $2. So we hope that you can plan to be in Share Medical Center next week at this very same time, and Dr. Rader's program will begin at 12:30. And we also invited the Woods County Home Extension groups to come. They have a total membership among all their 7 groups or whatever of about 70. Only 7 have signed up. So they initially were going to have 2 programs, one for Kiwanis Rotary at noon and one for the extension groups at 1. But because of the like numbers of the extension groups, we're going to invite them to join us. I'm anticipating a group of about 60. So I'm hoping you guys can attend and bring whatever wives you'd like to bring. Thank you.
Okay, it is on Wednesday.
Yeah, next week from today.
Do we have to sign up a little early because of the numbers?
Yeah, I'm going to send an email or something because Candace wants to know how many. They want to show off the food service in the street. So, hey, this is great.
Where are we going to eat?
In the lobby. In the lobby. They've had many banquets and things in the lobby there before. So receptions for Dr. Beery, you know, it's pretty big lobby. Hope we don't catch anything.
We won't be eating on surgery tables or anything.
Yeah, right.
Tim?
Board meeting next Monday.
Right. Okay, any other announcements? Jack?
Sign me up for next Wednesday so I don't have to call anybody.
Okay.
Okay, Lynn's got you down. Arden, you want to introduce our program today?
Yes, I'd like to. This is Dr. Marc Decker, who is completing his first year at Northwestern Oklahoma State University. He's married, has a young daughter, and his title is Director of Instrumental Music for Programs at Northwestern. Dr. Marc Decker.
Thanks for having me out, for inviting me. Do I go up here?
Yeah.
Well, this is quite the setup you have. Well, again, thank you for inviting me out. I've been looking forward to this for a few weeks, so again, thanks. I guess first I'll tell you a little bit about the Fine Arts program the last year at Northwestern. There's a lot of new faces in the program, new leadership, and I think many people are excited about the direction that it's going. We just have some great people on board. First, our leader is Kimberly Wiest, who I know is a Kiwanis member. And Kimberly has been in the program for about 13 years, but only recently took over as the director of the Fine Arts program. So she is our chair, and she's the one that runs theater, choir, art, visual arts, and the band. And then I run the bands. My colleague Karsten Longhurst, who's the brand new choir director, he just ended his first year. He runs the choirs. Art program is run by another new person, Kyle Larson, and there's one other full-time faculty member who is in her second year named Luana Newell, who's the vocal coach. So as you can tell, everyone is pretty much new in the program except for Kimberly. So she's been doing a great job leading us. I'm very thankful for her and for the colleagues that I have. You guys wanted me to talk about the band, so I guess I'll tell you a little bit about what goes into the shows, and then maybe talk about recruiting and how that's going. And then I know you probably have some questions for me, so I'm happy to answer them. But planning for the next marching season starts right now. Every day over the summer I come in. I'm actually teaching a morning class, so I teach a class in the morning, and then I spend my afternoon looking at possible marching shows. Looking at my band numbers, calling students to recruit, seeing if I can get some more students in, planning band camp, organizing the food for band camp, organizing the dorms, making sure they can move in early. There's a lot of preparation that goes into just that first day of band camp, which will be on August 12th. And then on August 12th, the students arrive, and we start learning all of the music. So we teach them the music, and then afterwards the drill, the marching drill. So what they receive is, other than the music, which they have to learn, is paper that has a grid system on it, and then dots with little numbers by it, and they know what dot their number is, and they learn how to find their spot on the drill based upon this whole system of charting and writing it all on a piece of paper. So they come to band camp, we learn our first show and all the music, everything we play in the stands, and then we go out and we do that at the first football game. Next year I'm planning to do 4 different shows. Have not selected the music yet, so I can't tell you, except Homecoming. Homecoming, there's a superhero theme that the committee picked, so we'll be doing superhero music, probably Superman, probably Batman, probably the more classical arrangements of it, maybe a newer one. I haven't fully decided all that yet, but that's the only theme that at this point has already been selected for me. So we play at all the home football games. There'll be, I think, 6 this fall is the plan, maybe 5. I'd have to look that up. Then the basketball games, and then we have home concerts where we turn into a concert band in the winter, and we do a joint concert with the choir in December, 2 more concerts in the spring. So that's essentially our year in a nutshell, and then it starts over the summer again, and we reset. I've had a lot of people ask me about recruiting, how that's going, and it's going great. I could tell you, historically speaking, over the last 4 years, in 2013, there were 25 or 26 students that were registered for the band. So it was a smaller group than it had been before that. 2014, it was up, or it was down more. That was down to about 19. Last year, I was happy with 25. It's what we had, and I came here in July last year, so I've only been here for about a year. And we had about 25. They did a great job. I was very proud of them. And right now, if I had to do my best estimate based upon the numbers that are actually enrolled, there's 42 enrolled, and then about 4 returning members that have yet to enroll. So I would guess we're going to have about 46 in the fall, which will be almost double the size from last year, and I'd be very happy with that. So we're looking really good for numbers. And numbers don't mean quality, but numbers do mean visual and oral impact. So it looks and sounds just a little bit louder and bigger, and that's impressive for a marching band. People like that. So that's how things are going with recruiting. I had another question earlier that I'll share with everyone is how is the budget cuts affecting the band and the fine arts? Because there have been some in higher education, and I don't know the answer to that. What I can tell you is that they have decided to hire another adjunct for essentially me, for instrumental music, who will teach the woodwind lessons because we have more instrumental music majors enrolled in the program in the fall. We will have more than we have in many years. So I'm going to need an adjunct to help me teach the private lessons to the students. So they've agreed to hire someone else. So are there going to be some cuts? Probably, but I think all of the positions, at least from what I can tell, are going to be stable, and we are adding a new faculty member. And the new faculty member, if you're curious, is going to be an adjunct. He is the chair of music at NOC at Northern Oklahoma College. He's going to drive up here and teach our private lessons for woodwinds next year. So I know you probably have some questions. I could keep talking, or I can answer some if you have any.
How do you go about recruiting band members? I mean, is it football teams, you see the guy play football, and I guess do you go to contests or something and you have some history of them being band members or something? Is that how it works?
Yeah, throughout the year, I don't teach any classes on Fridays. So throughout the year, I go out every Friday and I'll visit 2, maybe 3 schools, and I'll say hello to the directors and say hi to the students. And if they let me, the directors sometimes let me test drive the band, let me conduct a little bit, and that's always fun. And then I pass out information cards, and I can learn where the seniors are, and that way I can email them, I can mail them, and I can call them. And I do all 3 of those throughout the year. So I've got a pretty extensive list. And this time of year, we're actually changing gears a bit on recruiting, and I've got students that are in the recruiting office, and they're actually going through all of the transcripts of all of the incoming students to get what I'll call the non-disclosure band students, the ones that don't say they were in band on a card anywhere, or maybe I didn't go to visit them, but they've never disclosed that they were, but they can find out by looking at their high school transcript if they were. So they'll be able to make a list of how many students at Northwestern have any experience in band at all. And then I can call them again, and I can email them, and I can get all the information I can. We also have a robust scholarship program. It's $1,500 to be in the band for the fall and the spring semester towards their scholarship. And I can award that to just about every student that's in the band, just about every one of them. There's rules about GPA requirements and rules about full-time status as a student. There's some fine print, but just about all of them can get that. Yeah.
They don't have to be music majors or to participate in the band?
Nope, they don't have to. In fact, there's only, this last year, there were only 3 instrumental music majors in the band, because there were only 3 total last year. There'll be 6 this coming fall. That's why we need a new adjunct to help me teach the private lessons. But everyone in the band gets the scholarship regardless of whether they're a major or not, and a majority of them aren't. They do it because it's fun to do, and they get a scholarship, and they like participating.
What kind of capacity do you have?
Do the NCAA have any rules with regard to music in the band, or is that strictly athletics?
They do, actually. There's very specific rules about when the band can play and when they can't play. For instance, I don't know if this was a while ago. This was 2012, fall 2012. University of Illinois was playing, I want to say Purdue, and the band just would not stop playing. And my friend is the director there. He was getting excited, and they just kept playing, and they gave the team a 5-yard penalty, because they could do that. So you're not supposed to play when the game's in motion, because it can distract the team and disrupt the call, so that if there's something going on in the field. So there's actually rules. Basketball's the same. They can actually give the team a technical.
There's no recruiting rules or anything like that?
Oh, recruiting rules? No recruiting rules. I can do whatever I'd like. I can hunt through transcripts, and I can send letters, and I can call, and I do all that.
That was the Purdue band you're talking about got the penalty?
No, Illinois did. Illinois got it.
We were in a bowl game one year when Purdue was there, and they were doing exactly the same thing.
Did they get a penalty?
I don't know if they did or not. I think they did.
They don't always call it, but it's a rule. It's a rule, yeah.
Does the band, I was going to ask the question, does the band go to any outside events other than like maybe Enid or someplace for the marching band?
I want to next year. The jazz band does. The jazz band is more mobile because there's only about 15 members. So I can take them to Woodward or to Enid and they can perform. This last year, the jazz band performed in Enid for a fall concert. And then they performed in town at a couple other concerts as well, one at Alva High School. They just played some music there at their last concert in the spring. And then again at the Citizens of Distinction, the Alva Chamber of Commerce ran an event and the jazz band performed. So that group is more mobile. It's easier to load up all of their equipment in a couple vans, as opposed to if I take the marching band, I have to get a trailer. And I do have a trailer, but logistically speaking, it's a little bit more challenging. But I do want to take the band next year to an away game. I'd like to. And I'm looking at a few. The Southwestern game is a possibility. I hear it's a hostile crowd. So I don't know if I want to do that yet, but that's on the schedule with a question mark right now. Is the Southwestern football game? It'll be hostile though. Yeah.
What about instrument balance? Who do you wish you had more of? Who do you have too much of?
Well, you can never have too much of anything, but I'd rather have more brass, if anything. Brass are bell front instruments that have more sound and more impact. And although woodwinds sound lovely, the sound dissipates. It goes up and behind them and forward, and it's not directional. So if you have a lot of woodwinds, you get a beautiful sound, but not a lot of impact. And next year, we'll have a good balance, I think, of instruments. There are a few more woodwinds than brass, though. A few more.
So the woodwinds work better indoors?
They do, yes, but they still sound lovely outdoors. If there are any woodwind players out there, you sound lovely everywhere. Yes, sir.
Getting back to your NCAA regulations.
Yes.
In quarterback club, we can no longer host the seniors in football with the seniors and the Rangers as we used to do because of NCAA regulations. Do you have anything similar to that in the recruiting regulations for band?
I've never seen recruiting regulations. I see rule regulations. They regulate the size of a pep band. You can't technically have more than 30 on an away game for a pep band, technically. So there are rules, but I've never heard of any recruiting rules that I have to follow. I've never been informed of any. I hope there's not. Yes, ma'am.
Has the director for the alumni band for homecoming been identified yet?
Well, that's up to Candy. So Candy Almgren, I thought, picks the director.
Okay, I wasn't sure.
I think she does. I'm not.
No.
Oh.
I was just trying to figure out who it was to figure out whether I can play cowbell or not.
Well, Candy Almgren runs the alumni band for homecoming, and all I do is just make sure everyone has instruments, and that's my job. And T-shirts, I think I help with, but I'm looking forward to that. If any of you want to be in the homecoming alumni band, it's very fun. There's like a 1 hour rehearsal at noon, and then the football game starts, and yeah. Yeah.
Dr. Decker, in the past, and it's been several years, during the summer, we would have some students from the college who were here and other people who played would give 1 or 2 summer concerts down at the courthouse deal. Would that be a possibility in the future?
Yes, absolutely. I was talking with Dr. Needler about that because he used to run that. It's been a number of years, though. I think the last time they did it was, he said, about a decade ago. So it was maybe 10 years, but they used to run 4 rehearsals, 1 a week for 4 weeks, and then have a concert at the square. Square's that way, not that way. Yeah. So that's a possibility for next year. Absolutely. Yeah.
That's my first question, but I have a second question.
Yeah.
Is the larger number of people, is that going to provide a problem with you providing instruments for them?
I have noticed that there are more students, probably because of the economy than ever, that need instruments. At this moment, I do have enough, I think, for everybody. But we were tight last spring in a couple sections, but I have to look at that more once I know everyone's instrument and once we know how many we're going to have in the group. I actually have been, today I spent this morning after my class was done, rearranging some of the clutter in my band room so that I can fit basically a 50-piece band. Because right now I couldn't fit that group in there. So that's been something that I've been trying to reinvent so I can make it work, make the space that we have work better for the bigger group. But I'm excited to have them. We do have enough uniforms, I know that. But instruments, I think we have enough of.
Do you have an avenue or a method by which you can find used instruments for anybody?
To buy or just to use for the...
Either one.
Well, the school does give me some money to buy new instruments. Not a lot, but enough if I need to buy just 1 or 2. This last spring, they also found some money for me to repair a lot of the broken ones, and then I ended up selling a lot of the broken ones and buying a new one with the sold broken ones that worked. So that big trade-in I just did a big trade-in about 2 weeks ago, and a guy came up and basically bought a whole bunch of my old marching equipment that we don't use anymore. It's dated, kind of older. We have newer equipment, and he gave me new working instruments for the old ones. So we're making it work, and I think we'll be okay. I think we will be for instruments and uniforms. We are probably 5 years from new uniforms, maybe 10 in that range, and then probably 5 to 10 years from a new drum line as well, if I had to guess. And each one of those are significant projects. Uniforms will cost $20,000 to $30,000. I know, it's a lot. Someone just bought them. Erin Place just bought new uniforms, and she bought 50 or 60 for her band, and she's the band director at Winoka. Oh, thank you. And that cost her $20-some thousand to buy just 60 uniforms. And I'll probably need to buy over 100 or so, 110, because you need to have different sizes and yeah.
This, you mentioned making room for 50. Is that about your capacity, or?
Well, another question I asked Mike a couple weeks ago, Mike Needler, was how many traditionally have been in the band over the last 30 years? You know, how many can we expect? And he said that about when he first came here in the 1980s, there were more school bands around. So there were more students that were band players. And he said there was 1 year where they broke 100, and then right after the first day of class, somebody dropped and they had 99. So he said that was the highest that he's ever seen it. But he said normally it's going to be between 50 and 75 in that range. If you're doing what you're supposed to be with recruiting, you have a retention, and students are able to stay for 4 years and graduate, and the seniors are leading and the freshmen are coming in, and you have that system in place. So it's going to take a number of years to do that again. But I would anticipate in the long run having 50 to 75 regularly. I think that's a very realistic goal. And this will be another thing I'll know in a couple weeks here. My students that are going through the transcripts in the recruitment office right now, they're going to be able to see how many band members we have total at Northwestern that are incoming freshmen. And we're also going to be able to see how many incoming freshmen we have total. So I'll be able to know for sure that 20% of the 300 students that we have coming, or 400 students that we have coming as freshmen next year, played in high school band. So how many of that 20% chunk am I actually going to get? Hopefully all of them, but that's the kind of information that I need in order to be able to recruit better. So I'm learning about this area and about how the bands are and about how we can get them in, and knowing these numbers is going to help a lot. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, the adopt a ranger thing that we had years ago that ended up getting me a son-in-law out of the deal is not legal under NCAA. Whoever was asking about what was legal and what wasn't, Mac. And so, like, if we feed anybody now, as far as the teams, we have to feed the entire girls basketball team or the entire boys basketball team or the soccer team, because we did that before too. And the choirs, though, have no rules. So we can feed, I mean, like we fed the choirs, and it doesn't have to be the entire choir. It can just be a handful of them if that's who wants to come, instead of it having to be the entire group. And that's why it's almost impossible for anybody to feed the football team unless they have a restaurant or something, because that's just too big a group to do.
140 of them, I think, or something.
Yeah, I mean, that's massive.